WATD presents John Paul, the Car Doctor. All things automotive. Have questions? Call or text 781-837-4900. Now, here's John Paul, the Car Doctor.
And good Sunday morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Car Doctor program on 95.9 WATD. My name is John Paul, the Car Doctor, here to help you with your car problems. And the traveling Jesse Wilkins is back from your adventure in Ohio, right?
Yes, the ever so exciting state of Ohio.
And just so our listeners know, you have another life besides producing the Car Doctor radio program. What were you doing out in Ohio?
It is wild to think about. Most of my week I spent preparing to engineer this show. But yeah, we were out there in Newark, Ohio to hang out, to go to jail. Went to jail for about 12 hours. No, so it was an old abandoned jail that's supposed to be haunted. So we were there investigating and filming a little TV series.
And now, is the TV series now? You kind of just glossed right over that. TV series, is it going to be same name as your podcast?
It should be, yeah. And then which is Hometown Ghost Stories, and the details are still being worked out, but it should be available on Screenbox, Amazon Prime, those kind of things. But more details to come. But a little 6-episode thing, and it's very much in the early stages, so I'm still filming right now.
Do you have a showrunner?
What is a showrunner? I should know what a showrunner is.
They're the person that really runs the entire program.
Oh, there's 3 of us, and we're doing it ourselves and mostly funding it ourselves. We got a tiny little budget from the network, but not much, so that's all gone already. But yeah, so we're mostly doing all the legwork ourselves.
Well, start drinking cheaper beer.
I can't do it. I'll cut corners in different places. Not there. We'll get a terrible show, but at least we drank good beer while we're making it.
There you go. Hey, with us on the line is Shay Cooper. Shay Cooper is the president and founder of the Women of Wolfsburg. Shay, welcome back to the Car Doctor program.
Hey, thank you for having me back.
Well, first off, tell us a little bit about the Women of Wolfsburg, how that started, even where the name came from, because the name's been around for a long, long time, right?
Yeah, so the name is actually kind of paying homage to where Volkswagen's first and big factory is over in Wolfsburg, Germany. So just kind of, giving them some credit there. Obviously, we can't use the Volkswagen brand name, but we could use the city of Wolfsburg, which is where their factory is. So we picked that, and we started, oh my God, I think it's been 6 years now, and it just started with us saying, hey, women don't really have a concreted place in the community, and let's make that happen. And it has grown into, a whole great show that grows every year. I think we had 70 girls last year, which is our most, and just lots of female community action, fun things. For me, sometimes it's just a lot of hanging out with my friends at this point, but it's a really, really great initiative that we love.
And like Jesse, do you only drink expensive beer, or?
We drink no beer. So we also try to be a good sober resource for the community.
There you go. Good for you. Tell us about it's kind of springtime, although it's rainy and cold. But do you guys do like a spring dust off, like time to bring the cars out and come out to play?
We don't have our own show, but we travel to other shows. So in February, we kicked off the year with Eurotripper down in Fort Myers. We had beautiful weather. It's pretty cool. A couple of us drive across the country to do it too. So take some old Volkswagens down to Florida, and we do that. And then next up, we'll actually be at a show called Dust Off in Connecticut. And at all these shows, we give a ladies' award. So we have our booth. We try to connect with any new women who we haven't met before. And then, we looked at all the women's cars in the field, and we pick the best and give them some recognition.
And is it just Volkswagen, or is it Volkswagen Audi?
Volkswagen, Audi, Porsche. And then our show, we have found that we end up with girls that have all sorts of different cars. So while we are, Volkswagen and Porsche and Audi at this time, we have categories for domestic, for Japanese, for kind of motorcycle, everything else, just so everyone has a place. But we're still probably 98% Volkswagen Audi.
And the whole idea is building that kind of women's community in the car culture, which was predominantly male, but I go to Cars and Coffee pretty regularly, and there are some pretty serious women collectors at some of these shows I go to.
Yeah, it's something that I've enjoyed the car world for probably about 15 years now, and it's something that has grown. And I would say, I don't know if every girl bought a project car in COVID because they were bored, but there was this like shift of how many cars we saw before COVID and after COVID and the growth. And I genuinely feel like even when I go to not Women of Wolfsburg events, there are more and more women out there, which is a lot more women for me to talk to, but it's well worth it. I think that we are starting to see just women be more involved, women kind of expressing and being more willing to come out and show that they have cars. There's always been women who love motorsport and cars, but I think they're more willing to come out and kind of mingle with everyone now versus, hey, I'm only going to go to the track or I'm only going to go to Okemo, whatever's going on. So we're starting to kind of see that saturation in any event you can go to, which is awesome.
No, I mean, years and years ago, it was almost shocking to see women in motorsports. It was, but that has changed so much, and it's the idea that whether it's unfortunately with things like Motor Trend TV being canceled, but some of the women enthusiast car shows, it just brought a different view to the whole business and whole industry and hobby itself, which I sort of miss, I think, on the TV part of it.
I agree. I've always wondered why there's not as much representation, because even if you think about it, and this is absolutely my marketing brain, but, women are all working. We all have strong salaries, too. We can buy all those cars. Why not chase after them, market to us? And I'm hoping that as more and more brands realize that women have buying power, too, they start to represent us more in advertising or television or whatever they're doing, just saying, hey, if nothing else, this is a market you should chase after. So
yeah. I mean, when you think that 50% of all the new cars sold are sold to women, and I think the last number I saw was something like 78% of the decisions for new cars are made by women. So why wouldn't you?
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
You mentioned project cars. Is that a lot? Are the people that you've met, are they builders or buyers, or both?
It's both. So I would say I'm seeing a lot more female builders lately. And I say that with the caveat of my best friend owns a shop, so we do meet a lot of women who are building their own things. But most women that I'm encountering now, they have a pretty nice, Volkswagen Audi that they drive every day, a GTI, S4, something like that. And then they have usually an older Volkswagen, and that's their project car. That's the car that they're wrenching on, they're working on. So kind of seeing where we used to just see women buy like probably a more new car where things are more plug and play, a lot more women willing to say, no, I'm going to buy this disaster of a car that I probably shouldn't buy, and I'm going to fix it myself.
Well, I think that's one of the learning curves you get whenever you buy something, is like try to buy it as put together as you can, because unless you just absolutely love the car and love spending money, let someone else start to spend it first, I think. So because you can get crazy. As I remember, you had a lot of project cars.
I do. I am actually downsizing a little bit for a cool piece of automotive history. I was at, I think, 9 cars, and I just sold off a Jetta, and then I'm selling off. I have a BMW, which is kind of the ugly sister, so we'll get rid of that. To buy back an Audi Hearse that I used to have, and it's probably one of the coolest cars I've ever owned, certainly the most unique. It was imported from Spain, and I'll be bringing that home next month to kind of give it a restoration and focus on that.
And was that built on like a Audi A80 platform or like an A6, or what was that built on?
Yeah. It's an Audi 80, so it's got the normal 8-valve motor. It is a 5-speed for fun, and it's the CIS Bosch injection management. And
once you get it, what are you going to do with it?
So it does some body work, so that's kind of step one. And I think it's up, I got to do timing, water pump, little maintenance things. And then the interior of the actual, where the casket goes, It needs some love, and it's all visible. So this one looks, if you think more like a Pope mobile is the best way to describe it. On those hearses, they're very tall because it came from Spain, where they show off your casket. So the curtains all need to be redone. They're beige right now. We're going to make those black, and the body is going to change color. I have not decided what, but something a little more spooky, I guess, than the blue that it is now.
Well, it sounds like you should get together with my producer Jesse and his Hometown Ghost Story podcast. But
I was thinking that, and I was like, I'm also up to spooky things.
We like spooky.
Yeah,
Spooky's good.
So, Jesse? Is that something you want to get involved with? An Audi hearse that came from Spain?
Any hearse is fine. Yep. Audi.
Yep.
I mean, that sounds really nice. So I'm in.
There you go. So I didn't know at first, when you first said hearse, I'm like, maybe you're going to make it into like a kind of a cool camper or something.
Nope. I'm going to preserve it because, it was a hearse, from Spain, and it's cool to do things. They do funerals a lot different in Spain. A lot of bodies are buried above ground, and that's why it has the glass. So I think kind of keeping with that vibe, but also, making it a little bit more drivable and a little bit more usable. So if we're going to a show, I can throw a girl or two in the casket, someone in the passenger seat, and get down there pretty easily.
Well, as long as they want to be in the casket, I guess. So, the is in your and of your cars that you have collected and owned over the years, is there another sort of unicorn car that you would love to own, but it's either just unreachable, either financially or they didn't make enough of them? Is there something that you look at and go, I'd love to own one of those?
So, yes, I would love, and I've owned one and I actually sold it, so talk about buyer's remorse. I love the Volkswagen Rabbit truck. I do have one, but it's a total customized truck. I would love just completely beautiful 1.6 diesel Volkswagen Rabbit truck with a manual 5-speed, an 82 or 83 from Westmoreland. That's just in, the one that someone put in a barn back in 91. And that is my unicorn.
And how do you feel? Let's back up a little bit. Are most of the enthusiasts who belong to your group, are they mostly water-cooled cars, or is there any of the air-cooled Beetles in there?
No, so we are mostly water-cooled. We have low representation in air-cooled, and we've been trying to kind of shake out some more women who have Beetles. We know they're out there, and get them to come out.
Yeah, I know on Cape Cod I go to a nighttime cruise, and there's a woman who has two air-cooled Beetles. One is a convertible, one is, I think, an older, maybe like a 62, and I don't know that she works on them, but she does some work to them, and she just loves her Beetles. She just thinks they're the most fabulous car there is, and they're fun. They're fun cars to have. But I'm for a bigger guy, I'm oddly a mini truck fan, and when I see something like the Rabbit pickup or some of the early Datsun pickups, I just love those trucks, and I love the Rabbit. And even the Subaru Brat, which is kind of a silly kind of vehicle, but I love the practicality of a small truck like that. Like you said, with the 1.6 diesel, it's hardly a hot rod, but it's a fun car to drive.
They're great, and as long as you have that 5-speed, that's kind of the difference in those two.
Yep.
If you have that 5-speed, you can at least drive it on the highway, and you can do 60. You're not doing 65, but you can enjoy it, and it's great. I own a home, and at one point, that Rabbit truck that I used to have, it had 8 pieces of drywall in it because I needed to do drywall, and I had no problems moving 8 pieces of drywall, and it was wild because they're such just utilitarian trucks at the end of it.
Yeah, they are. They're really fun trucks, and I think they're like a lot of Volkswagens, the style is pretty timeless. And you can look at one of these that's been around for 50 years now and look at it and go, it still looks good.
Yeah, they look great, and they the good thing is that parts for them are not super expensive. So if you do have to reassemble one, you're probably going to find most of the parts without breaking the bank, which is a really nice, for me, is really nice. When you have 7 Volkswagens, have to be mindful.
So you're down to 7 now?
I am, and I should be. I think the final count and where I would like to stay would be 6. So we're getting there.
There you go. I only have 2, so I can hardly keep up. So
you might need some more.
The '09 Beetle convertible is tired at best, and the '15 Beetle convertible is a typical 10-year-old Volkswagen. And I spent what seemed like 2 days trying to determine why the airbag light was on, and oddly, the airbag light was on because one of the ABS sensors was bad.
Very common problem with those, but it sends everyone kind of through a loop when you try to trouble solve it.
Yeah. It was one of those things. It's like they don't even share the same circuit, and all it did was the ABS sensor pulled down the CAN signal and turned on the airbag light. Magically, once I once I finally caught, and it wasn't like the sensor was dead. It was intermittently acting up, and it was just enough when that happened that it caused all kinds of goofy things to happen. But after some time checking wiring and grounds and stuff, and it's like, aha, there we go. There's the problem. But yeah, it's all part of the experience, I guess. And so, what do you have coming up? You mentioned you're going to a couple of events. When's the big Women of Wolfsburg event?
So it's going to be on September 28th, and this year we're doing something different. We've used Westerly, we've used Squamicut Drive-In. We've always been kind of a South County, Rhode Island thing. This year we're moving to Northern Rhode Island. We are finalizing the details now, but we're hoping to be a little bit more accessible to women coming from Boston, women coming from Connecticut, a little bit more of a centralized location. So that will be on September 28th, but as usual, we usually have a Friday night and Saturday night event at a drive-in as well. So lots of things coming for us.
So where is it going to be in Northern Rhode Island? Is it going to be at the
So we're hoping for North Smithfield. We are going through the permitting process now and jumping through all those hoops with a new location, reminding everyone we are not doing burnouts.
The flutter of a tail feather, the flash of a wing bar in mid-flight.
Right on the mass border,
you don't always have a lot of time to identify a bird
drive-in?
in nature, let alone to appreciate its beauty. But with Vortex Optics, you'll have the power to bring every wild moment closer. When you choose Vortex, you're choosing to have a partner in the field
because you guys
passionate about nature
did
as
a movie
you are.
night, right?
Whether you're spotting old friends on the backyard feeder or packing for a once-in-a-lifetime trip to add a few species to your life list, Vortex offers a full range of optics and optics accessories for every bird and every budget. And whether the birds are taking you to another state or another country, you're always covered by the Vortex VIP warranty.
Do you try to have a
unlimited lifetime promise
movie
to keep you and your optic covered.
So this year we
if you'd like to learn more, or if you need help choosing your next optic, give Vortex a call at 1-800-4VORTEX or visit vortexoptics.com.
We did find the car movies bring out a few more people, and we donate all of our proceeds to Foundation Blue. So we kind of like to focus on what's going to get people out and kind of bring in money for them.
A small songbird,
and
with a dark
like you said, some people like to just
brown
go
or blackish streaks on the breast.
Check out whatever the movie is and figure that all out.
It has a whitish crown and eyebrow stripes.
It's kind of a nice thing.
So
tell us about Foundation Blue before you go. I know it's a car.
Our bird winters in the southern U.S. and Mexico, and summers in much of the northern U.S. and Canada.
Yep. So
feeds mostly on seeds
on
or near the
kind of
ground.
in the Northeast, they have a Mark III Golf that was Lexi's, and
it was named after a charming southeastern city by famed 19th century ornithologist Alexander Wilson, who collected a specimen there. We could say which state that is in if we need to, but for now, we'll just say the charming southeastern city. Those are the clues and the sound of the bird, and beautiful prizes await, including a $25 gift certificate for Bird Collective, your one-stop shop for vintage-inspired apparel and unique accessories, all featuring birds.
Nice
and beautiful life-size pop-up floral
and
bouquets.
It's always nice to see. I mean, first off, there is such a shortage of technicians these days. It is so nice to see.
So give us a call and tell us what you think
that
bird is at 781-837-4900.
And whether it's
that number again is 781-837-4900.
auto parts.
4900.
Or
Meanwhile,
mechanical
Mike O'Connor
repair.
will be here with us almost live from the
read
archive.
the other
Let's
day that
ask
for
Mike
every 3
in just
technicians that leave the
1 minute.
business, that need replacement, or every 5 that leave the business to be replaced by 3. So there is
Hog
a
Island
growing
Audubon
shortage
Camp has
of
welcomed nature
technicians
enthusiasts
out
to
there.
its
And
shores since
the other part of it
1936.
is, because
It's
of
a program of the
it
Seaburn
makes them
Institute,
more valuable.
and the island
So
hosts
all of a sudden now
5-night
the
sessions
money's
for
getting a
adults,
little bit better.
teens, and families,
The
taught
benefits
by
are
the
getting
world's
better.
leading naturalists,
The work environment is getting
ornithologists,
better.
and artists.
And
Hog
that's all
Island
part of it.
campers
So
deepen their
the idea that
relationships
if,
with the birds and the ecosystems around
a
them
foundation
during
can
the
support
island's immersive
auto-tech
educational
students,
camps.
whether they're
New
high
for the
school or
2025
college, that's
camp
fantastic.
season is Let's Go
Yeah, and we
Birding
love to
Together.
support them. Every time
Scheduled
someone
during
comes out
peak
to our
fall
event, we're collecting
migration,
money for them.
this
So
session is a safe
really
space
great
for
nonprofit.
queer birders to connect
Yeah,
with nature
I'm
and
still
each
involved
other,
with,
while learning ways
3 or
to
4
foster a
vocational
similar
schools,
environment
and
in their
I am
community's
always
home.
so pleased whenever I
For
see
full Hog Island schedule,
the young women in
program
the class.
details,
In fact, I had
and to
one
register,
of the local
visit
schools do some body work on the old Volkswagen that I have, the 09.
It's Mike
And,
O'Connor, not
I said,
O'Connor,
hey,
but
I wanna
O'Connor
meet,
down
I
at the
wanna meet
famous
the people that
Birdwatchers
worked on the
General
car,
Store
and,
on Cape Cod.
It was 2 girls that worked
Going
on
to
it.
tell us about
And
2 warblers
the
that use
body work was
nest
fine.
boxes.
They
I
kind of
believe it's the
criticized me a little bit
box-building
because
warbler
they wanted
and
to do a better
the nest
job than I was
boxer
willing to
warbler,
spend the
but
time to let them do.
I'm probably wrong about that. Good
but they're
morning,
like,
Mike.
yeah, we can still do it, but this is the way we should do it. And they
All
were
right.
telling me what to do.
This next week
And
again here.
I had some
much more
kind of leftover
smoothly
tools
again
from when I
as
used to
well.
work on cars professionally,
I love the
and
stream
gave
of
them all to
Blucher
school,
shows.
which I found is a great way
it's
whenever I
becoming
talk
kind of a
to
specialty here the
retiring
last few
technicians,
weeks.
and they're like,
Yeah.
well, I'm
Yeah.
trying to sell this.
Anyway, you're
I said,
right.
give it to the local
we talk
Vortex
about
school.
nest
They can always use them. They can,
boxbirds, and
whether it's
surprisingly
hand
only a
tools,
few
air
birds
tools, whatever the case is,
use bird
everything
houses
that
on
can make
nest
life a
boxes
little
that
bit
we put
easier
up, and we
can
of
also
course,
help
we
with
think about
budgets
house
in the
wrens,
school.
house sparrows,
Makes a lot of sense.
bluebirds, chickadees,
it's always
purple martins,
great
for example,
stuff.
use man-made
The idea
dwellings. But surprisingly, of all the
your group,
warblers
the Women of
that nest
Wolfsburg,
in
and
North America, 50 some odd,
it's just bringing
only
together
2 will
this
actually use
enthusiast community, like
a
minded
man-made thing or a
community
birdhouse
is
that we
great.
can
The
put up
idea
to
that
help attract them.
Now,
And the 2
you guys just sort of start this sort of on
like
a whim. It was like,
unbelievably
just,
polar
hey,
opposites. The
there's
first
something
one,
here we should
Prothonotary
really
warbler, which
try to get it
lives
to
in
grow.
the southeastern part of the
Yeah, so
states.
I think we
loves
saw
the
a couple examples of women not being treated as
kind
fairly
of
as they should be,
shade,
specifically when it comes
thick
to judging.
areas
So you can be a
along
woman
water
with an amazingly
to
built
build
car,
it,
but
to
you were a
nest
woman.
in.
And it was kind of like a label. And you're
they'll
like, oh,
go
that's not a
in
great feeling.
typically
So we
woodpecker
said,
holes.
well,
But if
how
you
are we
live in
gonna
that
do
area
that?
and you put up
And that's
just a
what kinda
traditional square
starts this
boring
whole movement that we
birdhouse
have
or
now.
nest box with an inch and a quarter
Well, I am
hole,
disappointed to
they'll
hear that
happily
happens
take that.
because
And these birds,
but I
if you get
have
one,
to admit that a
they're
bunch of years
just
ago I saw it
unbelievably
happen.
colorful.
Somebody, I was
I'm
at
telling
a
you,
car show
the
in
male yellow
Newport,
is brighter
and
than
they
the
asked
sun.
me to
It's
be a
just
judge, and there
stunner
was
to
a woman
see,
that
and
had
it's well worth the effort to
an
get it,
absolutely
or just for a bird
stunning,
to see one, but they
like,
get one in
falcon
their yard.
station
The
wagon.
other species, the
And
Lucy's warbler,
people are just kind of
is the opposite.
passing it
It's
by,
in the,
and I think it's just because of the person who owned it, because the car was beautiful, and I kept going back to the other judges and going, we need to give this car an award. I said, I don't care who owns it. This is an absolutely stunning, kind of almost a little bit over the top restoration of what it was. But I'm like, this car's beautiful.
And I think
we have to recognize it. Don't just walk by.
Kind of pioneered this. They put up
it always kind of hurts me when I hear that.
Looks less like a square rectangle box, more like a lean-to. There's an opening in the front and the back, and the birds kind of gravitate towards that. If you live in that area, you put one up, you're probably going to get one of these birds. And they sell those these kind of funky bird houses at Tucson Audubon on their website.
Yeah,
I was looking, and they're $12.
And I'll kind of go back to
like David
TV for a little bit. There was so many.
You don't have anything in your store
good,
for
talented women that were hosting TV programs that I really kind of missed because, besides the fact that I probably learned something at the same time, just the personalities were different. It was more fun. It was great to be able to just see people working together and having fun doing it, and enjoying something that's been a big part of my life forever. So.
daughter of one of the early Smithsonian ornithologists was given that name. And now
there's a female in the
she's
shop.
probably a sweet woman somewhere in the world, but she's probably going to lose her name when they change all the names. So, if you live in those areas, the solitary warble in the southeast, or if you live out in the desert southwest, put out a little triangle box for the Lucy's warbler. That'll be very exciting. If you never see one of these birds, you should, but if not, look it up, because you'd be stunned how pretty it is. And happy Earth Day, everybody. Get out and do something good.
Happy Earth Day, Mike. We'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good. Okay.
And the way you understand and communicate is different.
Mike O'Connor from the archive, they're mentioning Earth Day. Of course, this is Earth Month all through April, and Earth Day
only
this
imagine,
year,
but
I
would think that
is
when
on
you're
April
together
22nd.
and
we'll talk
everything
more
just
about
clicks
that on the show very soon. But now we're back to the mystery bird contest and seeing who can
it's
identify
wonderful.
this bird.
I wish that it could be like that every day. I think I'd be more apt
small
to work
songbird with a dark streak, brown back, whitish underparts with brown or blackish streaks on the breast and sides. A small patch just in front of the eye.
I suppose. Have you ever thought
Ruby
about
is in
opening your own
Richford,
shop?
Vermont, with an answer or a guess for us. We'll
so
see.
Good
morning, Ruby.
I prefer to support my best friend.
Welcome to the show, Ruby, and thanks for calling in. And what do you think?
And is her shop in Rhode Island, or is it someplace else?
Savannah Sparrow.
No, she's actually
Savannah
in,
Sparrow. You're
Pittsburgh.
saying that with a
Finleyville,
little trepidation, perhaps,
okay.
But you are.
And what's the shop?
So Top Notch Auto.
And
nice job. Yes, Savannah Sparrow, absolutely right.
German
That city
cars,
we
or?
mentioned, the charming southeast
everything. So she's actually
city
there,
is, of course,
in
Savannah,
a small town.
Georgia.
So she's the only
That's
inspection,
where the name
the only repair
came
shop,
from.
kind of in that town.
Let's see.
So
I think we are.
Takes whatever comes in and
don't have
figures
time
it
for a
out
bonus
and
question.
does a great job.
I don't think, but thank you
Everyone's
so much
happy.
again, Ruby. If you'll stay on the line there, and Jesse will get your info, and we'll send you
the men
those
stopped coming in and
beautiful
asking to
prizes.
speak to another man, and they realized she was the owner.
All right, thank you, Ruby. Correctly identifying the Savannah Sparrow as our mystery bird.
Going to be
we wanted to make sure we have just a little bit of time before we go
people
to
sort of figure that out.
A big thank you to our friends at Ocean State Bird Club, who offered
in the
yours
town I'm
truly
in right now, there's a
show
woman who
a very
owns a repair
warm
shop,
welcome.
and she
at
has
their annual
I think,
meeting
one
yesterday. They're in beautiful
female
Bristol,
technician that works
Rhode
there.
Island at the Audubon Society of Rhode Island's
same
Nature
thing. She has
Center.
a really good rating. She does
Special
really
thanks
well.
to Michael Gow for his wonderful hospitality,
regional
as well as
for
to our
things.
friends
I mean,
Kennedy
it's just
and Chris
it's just a
Powell,
good shop.
and to Gino Ellison for his marvelous presentation about his
when I hear
2023
this,
North American Big Year.
Always makes me happy because I know
more than 800
the business is changing so much.
In
and
one
as
calendar
the business changes,
year.
It
Do a
needs
search
to
for
work
Gino
with
Ellison.
everybody
he's doing
out there,
a lot
like
of
you said, whether
presentations
it's
all around the country.
people that are buying cars, repairing cars, buying the parts for the car.
That might be right.
It's a very diversified
check him out.
group
He's
of people now, and
quite amazing,
you have
and
to
what a
embrace all of it.
presentation that was.
Definitely.
That is it for our show this morning.
All right,
Since
back
we're
to Women of
finished with
Wolfsburg.
today,
How do
we'll get to
people
work on
find out more
our
about
next
it?
show.
Social media.
And thanks to our amazing Talking
Facebook,
Birds team, Debbie
Instagram,
Bleacher,
all that sort of stuff.
Freya McGregor, and
So
our
our handles are
producing
Women of
engineer,
Wolfsburg on
Jesse
Facebook
Wilkins.
and Instagram. We're
I'm
probably
Ray
most
Brown,
active
and we'll
on
see you
Instagram,
next
but
week.
we also have a website, womenofwolfsburg.com. So if you're looking for merch or for just more information about the show or to say things like that, I would say check out the website.
Made possible by the generous support of the Birdwatchers
merch.
General Store, Orleans, Cape
So
Cod.
right now I think we have hoodies and we have 2 rounds of t-shirts out. So
By
we have a
Vortex
nice
Optics
R32
with the
hoodie that
VIP
actually
warranty.
will ship at the end
Their
of April.
unlimited
We're very
lifetime
excited,
promise to keep you
for
and
that.
your optic covered.
And then we have some fun
Learn
tie-dye
more
shirts,
at
and we actually are doing a
vortexoptics.com.
fundraiser for all the
And by Hog
animals
Island
affected
Audubon
for the
Camp.
LASPCA.
For full camp
So we do
schedule,
have a fundraiser
program
shirt that you
details,
can buy
and to
online
register,
as
visit
well.
hogisland.audubon.org.
And do you do that through the Women of Wolfsburg website?
Yep, everything's on there.
All right, perfect. Well, Shay, I want to thank you for taking some time out of your Sunday morning and joining us. It was fun. I love talking to anybody who loves cars, and it's obvious you do. And the idea that you love niche cars a little bit more, maybe, than some others. You know, I don't see you drive. I don't see you driving a Buick anytime soon.
It's unlikely.
But I do see you maybe driving a, I don't know, Harlequin Polo or something.
Oh, if I could get my hands on one.
I saw a reproduction recently. Somebody just kind of tried to make one, and they did it with a wrap, and it actually looked really good. I mean, I have to admit, it looked pretty good, but it wasn't. It made me. Well, I will say this: it made me stop and look at it, which and then we get chatting about it. But yeah, it was fun. So, but anyway, I want to thank you for taking some time out of your Sunday morning and joining us. And for the listeners out there who are either listening live now or will be listening later on the podcast, Women of Wolfsburg, you can find them on their website. You can find them on Facebook and Instagram. And go support. Go buy some of their merch and support everything that they support. It's fantastic. Shay, thank you very much, and talk to you again soon, I hope.
Thank you, John.
All right, take care. Bye-bye. We need to take a break, pay some bills. We went a little bit long. I'm sorry. If you'd like to join us, our phone number 781-837-4900. 781-837-4900 is how you get through and talk to us about your car problems. And we're going to be talking about something a little bit different, not a Volkswagen. We're going to be talking about an electric car when we come back, the 2025 Chevrolet Equinox. We'll talk about that when we get back. You're listening to the Car Doctor program on 95.9 WATD. We'll be right back.
Even car geeks and do-it-yourselfers rely on AAA to give them extra peace of mind on the road. AAA offers 24/7 roadside assistance, whether you're in your own vehicle, a friend's car, or even a rental. Combine that with great rates on insurance, hotel, gas, and dining savings, and discounts on 8,700 brands, and you're covered on and off the road. Get a special membership offer today at aaa.com/join. That's aaa.com/join.
Hi, this is Pastor Seth from the Vineyard A Community Church in Kingston, Mass. This year, we're once again putting on a special immersive Easter art experience of Jesus last week called Via Dolorosa. Our sanctuary turns into an art gallery as local artists from around the region recreate the steps of Jesus last week. I want to invite you, and it all starts on Monday, April 14th, running through Saturday, April 19th. For more information, just visit our website at thevineyardchurch.tv.
Won't you step into the light?
Hi, I'm Dan Chauvin. Step into the light and tune into Twilight Showcase Radio, hosted by Sandy Stride and Keith James on 95.9 WATD and 95.9WATD.com. Search for Twilight Showcase on Facebook and visit twilightshowcase.org.
Twilight Showcase, tonight from 8 to 10 on 95.9 WATD. Make an appointment Sunday morning at 11 for John Paul, the Car Doctor, on 95.9 WATD. Now, back to the Car Doctor.
And welcome back to the Car Doctor on 95.9 WATD. This week's test drive is in the 2025 Chevrolet Equinox EV. So let's get into it. Let's talk about it. The Equinox EV emerges. It's kind of a standout. It's a compact electric SUV. Little bit, if you've seen, an Equinox that's a couple of years old, it's a little bit different shape. My next door neighbor has a Equinox. We're kind of comparing them together. Windshield's a little more sloped than this, more aerodynamic differences. I guess good and bad about it. The good news is it's pretty affordable for an electric vehicle. It's got a really practical design. Base price, from what my research says, MSRP $34,995. That's base LT trim, making it one of the most accessible EVs on the market in the size. But I don't know that the LT trim is completely out there yet, but that price does undercut some of the competitors. The bad news is, according to their GM website, it might not be out quite yet, but their website tends to run a little bit behind. Performance-wise, the Equinox EV offers two powertrain options, standard front-wheel drive, and with an 85 kilowatt battery pack and an estimated range of 319 miles. And there's also an all-wheel drive version that antes up the horsepower a little bit, comes up to like 300 horsepower, I think it was, drops the mileage slightly to 285. I have been charging this. I haven't been using the charging cable that came with it. I've been using my own, and we'll talk about that next week. I have some products I want to talk about in the next week or so, but I've been using my own, and it's a combination. You can charge 240, 110 volts either way. I've been charging on 110 volts because that's what's most convenient, and I've been getting right on the money. The range, it's been saying 319, 320 miles of range. Takes a long time to charge up on 110 volts, but, I'm driving 20, 30 miles a day, plug it in at night, it's fully charged in the morning. No problem at all. According to reports, the front-wheel drive version hits 60 miles an hour in about 7.5 seconds. All-wheel drive actually drops that down to like 5.8 seconds. Like the smaller Chevrolet Bolt EV, it's not a performance car, but it's peppy enough. It's fine. It does everything it's supposed to do. Driving experience is smooth. It's quiet. It does have a motor sound if you want to have it make a sound. It has one pedal driving, so it has a lot of. If you can get used to that, you just take your foot off the accelerator and the car slows down almost like you're using the brake. Some people like it. Some people hate it. I'm not a huge fan, but, I don't drive EVs often enough. Handling is, typical SUV or compact SUV. It leans towards comfort, and that's the way it should be. Inside, the EV cabin is pretty good. It's pretty spacious, a lot of room in it. Dashboard features a all digital gauge cluster and a pretty big infotainment system. It also runs a Google-based system. No Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, though. And it has a weird, like all cars, it has sort of push-button start. No real push-button start. You get in the car, and it turns it on, and you just fasten your seatbelt and put it into gear and drive away. There is a button to shut it off if you want, though. Cargo area, 57 cubic feet, with the seats folded. Is it the biggest one in its class? No, but it's plenty of room. Charging, like I said, it supports charging up to 150 kilowatts, so you can add 75 miles in about 10 minutes. It lags behind some of the other EVs that can go up to 250 or more kilowatts. Level 2 charging, you can get about 35 miles per hour of charging time. That's what most people do at home. You can get access to some of the Tesla superstations with the GM-approved adapter, which extends some of your charging options. Still, like I said, even with the 110-volt charger, I think it did a pretty good job. I mean, it charges 4 to 5 miles per hour maybe at 120 volts. So, again, you drive 30, 40 miles, plug it in, it's fine. If I had to find some faults, lack of Apple CarPlay, where everybody else is doing, is kind of weird. It does have GM's advanced self-driving, which will work with hundreds and thousands of miles of mapped roads, which is kind of neat. Safety features, like everything, every car has them all now. It seems like the optional Super Cruise, like I said, hands-free driving system. It's an option, but it works really well. And Consumer Reports rated Super Cruise as the best semi-autonomous driving system. It's interesting. It's free for the first 3 years. Then you have to pay for it, and it's $25 a month subscription after that. Overall, the Chevy Equinox, I think, nails it. There's nothing super outstanding, but when you sum all the parts together, it's a winner for the first-time RV buyer or someone looking for a practical SUV, EV or not. It deserves a spot on your test drive. If I had to rate it, I don't know, is it perfect? No, but it's really good. I think it's really good for the money. I think it really did a good job. So that's our test drive for the week. Our phone number is 781-837-4900. I think we're going to talk to John. John, good morning.
I have a couple of quick questions for you. I own a 2013 Silverado 1500, and one of the sway bar links is missing.
Oh.
On the driver's side.
Yeah.
Now, my question is, when I go to replace them, should I let the wheels hang or should I have them on the something solid, so the weight of the car's on it.
The right way to do it is to you can have the wheels hang so you can get under it and work on it, snug it all up, and then let the suspension kind of settle out, and then just finish snugging it up the rest of the way.
I see. Now, my other question is, can I drive it with that one link gone?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And my other question.
Yeah, I mean, don't drive like Mario Andretti, but
Right.
Yeah,
right.
But no, it'll be fine, and because the sway bar is held in with the sway bar bushings up against the frame, it's not like the bar's going to go anywhere. It's not going to bang into anything. So, and the other end of the sway bar is being held in place by the link. Go and try to buy good quality. Either buy the GM parts or just buy a good quality sway bar link.
GM parts, go to like a GM dealer and buy that.
Yeah, you can do that, or good. I'm still a fan. Maybe I'm a little old fashioned, but I'm still a fan of Moog suspension parts, MOOG suspension parts. I think they build, still make good stuff. I don't know if it's as good as it used to be, but I think it's still pretty good. But yeah, and it's the hardest part is going to be probably, dependent on rust on the other side.
Right.
Getting the other one out, but
right. So I should replace both of them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. And when I get under and look at it now, the one that's missing, the hole where it connects, and then it connects to the upper control arm?
The lower control arm.
The lower control.
Yeah.
Now, when I look at it from lying down on the ground, looking up at it, the two holes aren't opposite each other. Is something else wrong? Like they're a little off. They're not straight up from each other. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, because you got to remember that bar it's not really held under tension, but once the sway bar gets to kind of where it's supposed to be, when that's the case, it's going to be fine. It's going to be. You may have to jiggle it around a little bit, but it should drop more or less right into place. So yeah, where the sway bar comes over and it attaches to the control arm. Yeah, it's not going to be completely on a 90-degree angle. It may be the sway bar may be towards the wheel half an inch maybe. That's normal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, if I had took the one that's still in there off, would I be able to maneuver that sway bar a little bit?
Oh, yeah. Yep. No question. Yep.
I see. Yep. All right, sir. You answered all my questions.
All right. Good enough. All right.
Have a good day.
All right. You as well. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, is it worth spending $20 for the GM parts for the sway bar or whatever it costs? I don't know, maybe. There's just lately I've just heard of stories about so many junky car parts. Sometimes when you buy the factory part, I know my next door neighbor has a Toyota pickup truck, and it has a sway bar in the back because it's the TRD option or something. And we replaced a sway bar in that with the Toyota factory parts. Perfect fit. They're the right color. He ordered them online from some, Toyota parts house. Got them in a couple of days. Actually came with extra hardware for different versions of it. But everything fit the way it was supposed to. It was nothing. You didn't have to worry about it. Oh, wait, it's just a little short, or it's a little this. It just worked out the way it was supposed to work. So always good to see. Couple of questions that came in this week. Somebody says they have a 2018 Subaru Forester. It's due for a spark plug change at 60,000 miles. They're a bit overdue. The estimated replacement cost is $650. The car runs extremely well. I'm very happy with the performance. Spark plug technology has changed since years ago when I used to do it myself. What can you tell me about spark plug replacement on modern cars? Yeah, spark plugs as well as engines and fuel systems have changed dramatically. When I was first repairing cars, I mean, we would do tune-ups every 6 months. We'd do oil changes every 2 months. That stuff doesn't happen. Spark plugs had a much shorter life due to carburetors delivering too much fuel at times, cars running too rich, ignition systems that, didn't, deliver the 50,000 volts of spark that they do now. Fuel had lead in it. Lead caused short spark plug life. All these things is what made spark plugs last not as long as they used to. Today, the fuel's better. Spark is hotter. A lot of cars today have a coil-on plug ignition, so no distributor cap, no rotor, no long wires. That helps extend the life of the spark plugs. Honda says, I think, 105,000 miles. Some other manufacturers are certainly at 100,000 miles. Subaru calls for replacement at 60,000. Whoever told you 60,000, they were right. The Subaru spark plugs have I remember when spark plugs used to be $2. Subaru spark plugs have a suggested list price of $29.90 each. And it's going to take about 2 hours to remove the coils, replace the spark plugs, and put it all back together. So with today's labor rates, depending on where you live, we are seeing labor rates on the low side, maybe $150 an hour. Somebody from, I think it was a reader from New York, the diagnostic time it was New Jersey. The diagnostic time at the dealership, 1 hour of diagnostic time, was $365, which sounded incredibly expensive to me. We're seeing some labor rates in some of the New York dealerships, $265 an hour. Mostly what we're seeing, though, is labor in the $150 to $200 range. I remember $25 an hour labor rates, so things have changed quite a bit. Let's see. I purchased a 2022 Audi Q3 new from the dealer at the 2-year mark. When I took it in for an oil change inspection, they said the brake fluid needed to be changed. I questioned it as the car has less than 5,000 miles on it. Ultimately choosing not to do the service, when I got home, I checked the owner's manual, and sure enough, it's recommended every 2 years. I did get a change when I brought it in earlier this year for an inspection and an oil change. I researched it a bit. It seems like most German companies recommend changing the brake fluid every 2 years. I've had many other non-German cars, and none of them required or suggested such frequent changes. While I understand the importance of keeping brakes in top-notch condition, why do German manufacturers recommend such frequent changes when few others do? Good question. Not sure why. Brake fluid's hygroscopic, which means it readily absorbs moisture from the air, which can lead to a lower boiling point and corrosion in the brake system. As to why German manufacturers recommend fluid changes every 2 years, that's unknown to me. At AAA, we say every 3 to 5 years. We've noticed that sometimes at the 3-year mark, there is some moisture contamination. Now, a lot of times in the 3, 4, 5-year mark, you may be changing brake pads, or you're doing a complete brake service, and at the same time you can say, well, I'm going to be doing this, I'll change the fluid. So kind of it might get done automatically without thinking about it. The other thing you can do, and this is sort of the cheater way to do it, is go get something like a turkey baster, suck out some of the fluid out of the master cylinder, not all of it, but suck out enough so you 2/3 of the reservoir, and then add fresh brake fluid. What will happen is every time you step on the brake fluid squirts around inside there. If you've ever stepped on the brake pedal of a car with the cover off the master cylinder, you see it kind of squirt up in the reservoir. Well, it starts to mix some of that fluid around. And if you do that, say, every oil change, you'll end up with some pretty non-contaminated fluid, which kind of does the same thing. The other thing I believe this is the case from doing a little bit of internet investigation. In Germany and the UK, when you get a vehicle inspection, they also check the condition of the brake fluid. So maybe it's based on a recommendation of those inspections. That might be the reason. We'll do one more question, then we'll take another break. This person owns a brand new Honda CR-V hybrid sport touring car, and the manual says that oil change intervals should be at 7,500 miles. While watching auto tech videos on YouTube, they're advocating changing oil between 3,000 and 5,000 miles to keep the engine running for hundreds of thousands of miles. Since I'm a low-mileage driver, I usually change the oil in my cars every 6 months or usually every 4,000 miles. What's your recommendation? I like to, in fact, I just did an oil change on my car. I like to change the oil in the car twice a year. I don't drive. I mean, when I used to drive 500 miles a week, just going back and forth to work, I'd change the oil more often. I don't drive as much. The car can sit sometimes for days, but I still change the oil twice a year. It's funny, I got the oil warning message, your car's due for an oil change in 10 days or whatever it was. It was also 4,000 miles short of the actual mileage recommendation. That 5,000 to 6,000 mile interval, I think, is actually better because cars burn oil today. We're using such thin oil in the engine, 0.20, 0.18 in some Toyota products, 520, 530. You're going to use more oil. If you go 5,000 miles between oil changes and you don't check the oil, you're going to be running out of oil by the time you have to get an oil change. So change it a little bit early. Your engine will like it better because of it, because it's not going to have a chance of running low. Doing that 5,000 to 6,000 mile interval is probably a good number. Why don't we take another break, pay the rest of our bills here. Our phone number is 781-837-4900. You're listening to the Car Doctor program on 95.9 WATD. We'll be right back.
Even car geeks and do-it-yourselfers rely on AAA to give them extra peace of mind on the road. AAA offers 24/7 roadside assistance, whether you're in your own vehicle, a friend's car, or even a rental. Combine that with great rates on insurance, hotel, gas, and dining savings, and discounts on 8,700 brands, and you're covered on and off the road. Get a special membership offer today at aaa.com/join. That's aaa.com/join.
Hey there, folks. It's Quinn Kelly reminding you to tune in Sunday night at 5 for the South Shore's first voice in sports talk radio, The Sports Exchange. Unmatched coverage of local high school action as well as a relatable voice on all things Boston Pro Sports. We've got you covered live at 5 every Sunday night. Have a question for our host, missed last week's show, or just want to share a great sports story? You can find us on Twitter at SE on WATD. But remember, mark your calendar, folks, and we'll see you Sunday night at 5 for the Sports Exchange on 95.9 WATD.
Honored with a Lifetime Achievement Award from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. He's John Paul, the Car Doctor, on 95.9 WATD.
And welcome back to the Car Doctor program. Recently, I purchased a new car for the first time in many years. My older cars had actual temperature gauges. This one does not. Do you think not having a temperature gauge is a potential problem? I like gauges, I have to admit. I'm a little old-fashioned that way rather than various lights. But, back when cars didn't have the same computer systems they have now, you would have a temperature sensor that when the engine temperature reached a certain limit, it would turn the hot light on. Or, when the car wasn't charging at all, it would turn the generator light on, alternator light on, battery light, whatever kind of light it was. Today, because of the computer systems in the car, the lights are far more variable, where before maybe that temp light would come on at, say, boiling point almost. And even though the boiling point doesn't really boil water because the coolant, 50-50 coolant mixture raises the boiling point of water, and the radiator cap pressure helps raise the boiling point. The computer looks and goes, the temperature's running above normal, and it may turn the temperature light on and the check engine light on at the same time. So not as good as a gauge, but sometimes what happens is you notice the light when you don't notice the gauge. Now, the idea that some cars had gauges and lights together, so the red hot light would come on because you didn't notice the temperature gauge. I like to watch the temperature gauge because I know my cooling system's operating normally just the way it should. So good thing to have them, but I think the computer systems, they're doing a little bit better job today than the old-fashioned, temp signal that would just turn on when the car overheated. So the problem with those were those lights would come on basically when the problem had already happened, not prior to it happening, to prevent damage. So I think that's part of it. This has come up a couple times, and I'm a big fan of the lithium-ion jumpstart boxes, the little small boxes so you can jumpstart your own car. But what we have started to see at AAA recently is it's very critical on some cars to use the designated jumpstart points. So to put and I was looking at a new Toyota the other day, and the positive jumpstart point is where the fuse box is, near the battery, and the negative jumpstart point is across the hood on the other side. Well, that's fine if you have jumper cables. If you have a little lithium-ion jumpstart box with, 12 inches of cable, it isn't going to reach to the other side. So what do? You just grab a grounding point, someplace where something is grounded. And you go, well, it grounds a ground. It's going to go through the circuit. It's going to ground it. Well, we have seen cases, and we've been, we monitor Toyota technical service bulletins and things like that. And at AAA, I've seen cases where using the wrong jumpstart point is enough to possibly spike the computer in the car and cause some potential damage. The other one that we saw recently was in a Volkswagen, I think it was an Atlas, and the computer case is grounded. And if you happen to be using conventional jumper cables, or maybe not even, a jump box, and the positive cable bounces off the computer case, well, in most cases you go, it sparks. A little spark, cable hit up against it, no big deal. We've seen some cases where it actually terminally kills the box, terminally kills the computer. So it doesn't like that. It doesn't like to see the spark hit the outside of the aluminum case of the computer. And it actually causes everything to fail. So when you're jump starting a car, unless it's maybe an older car or looking like something is very, very obvious, you can see the battery perfectly, you can get to it easily. Look at the owner's manual and look and see where you're supposed to jumpstart the car and use the proper terminals. If not, you could be having a problem, which is one of the reasons why at AAA we actually use, I believe the jumpstart box is made by a company called Chlor, and it actually uses a lead acid battery, not a lithium battery, and it has fairly long cables, so we can get from one side of the engine bay to the other without causing any problems. So lithium ones are great. I have one in every car, just like I have an air compressor in every car, but making sure you have them there makes a lot of sense. So, but follow the owner's manual in case you think there's going to be a problem. So there you go. Hey, Jesse, I think we're out of time, right? Jesse?
Yes.
We're out of time. Well, until next week, make sure you wear your seatbelt, drive safely, be good to your car, and if you do see an emergency vehicle by the side of the road, slow down or move over. It saves lives. Talk to you all next week.